Hey guys, today I'll be making pho with the Trinh recipe. I hope I made the Viets proud with this. So first of all, the ingredients. The first thing you need is beef bones. I messed up. I only got 2 pounds, but I needed four for the amount I was making. And then I used oxtail and flank steak, which you'll see here. You can also use brisket instead of oxtail, but the store didn't have that. And so that's what you need for the broth. And then topping wise, cilantro for me. I mean, if you can't eat it, then don't put that on. As well as lime, green onion, and then bean sprouts. Just the classic toppings. And then dry ingredients, you need this Vietnamese spice mix, and then a beef broth base. I bought the wrong one. The correct one's on the screen. And then the chicken bouillon. And then I almost forgot, but you also need basil for toppings, and then yellow onion and shallots in the stock. And then finally, noodles. I only had dry noodles at my store, but Brandon's mom recommended fresh noodles, which would be in the fridge section. So, finally, getting into the cooking. The first thing you want to do with your bones is rub all the bones with salt and massage the salt in. The whole point of this is to get rid of the impurities. And so after you have massaged all the bones with salt, roughly 3 tablespoons, but I just eyeballed it to make sure they were all covered. You'll want to rinse off the bones really well and then salt them again and leave them soaked in cold water. So while your bones are being soaked in water, you're going to want to fill up your pot halfway with water and bring it up to a boil. Once it's at a boil, this is where you add in salt and roughly 3 tablespoons, and then your oxtail or brisket. The whole point of like washing the bones and in this step we're going to be blanching the oxtail is to just get rid of all of the impurities, just for a really clear, tasty broth. And so I'm putting in my oxtail now. As you can see, it was kind of splashing up on me. There's definitely a smarter way to do this, but you just want to boil these oxtails for a few minutes at most. Then I had a little pizza break here. And so it's been like 2-3 minutes. You can see all the scum that's on the top of the water. So I'll be taking out all of the oxtails now. And then once they're all out, you'll want to rinse them very thoroughly with cold water again. And once you're done with that, you're going to want to add in the drained beef bones and boil them for 5 to 10 minutes. Once again, just to get all the blood and dirt out. You can see all of the impurities that came out. And so you're going to want to just drain this water and rinse the bones very thoroughly with cold water again. Finally, here comes the fun part, actually making the broth. As you can see here, I actually had to buy a bigger pot. My old pot was 6 quarts, but you want an 8 or 12 quart pot. This is a 12 quart pot. And so while you fill this up halfway with water and bring it to a boil, but while that's going on, you can toast your aromatics or those spices. In the spices, there will be this cloth bag. You just want to rinse this with water to get rid of any dirt. And then there will be these big spices. Oh, sorry for flipping you guys off. And then smaller, like seed-looking spices. So the first ones you want to add to a pan at medium-ish heat, medium-low heat, are the big spices. And you're going to want to toast these for under 5 minutes, just really until it's fragrant. Once that's done, you want to add the small spices and just toast these for really 30 seconds or less, just until you start to smell it. I cooked it for a little bit too long and it started to smoke. And so you can see here and just flip it off and check out that flipping though. Pretty good, huh? And so once you smell it, take it off the heat and your pot should be at a boil soon. Once it is, add in your beef bones that kept splashing on me, so I was really scared. And for the first 5 to 10 minutes, you just really want to check for any more impurities coming out of the bones and that rise to the top. And you'll just want to skim this off. At least for me, I think I washed the bones pretty well, so there weren't many impurities, but just skim off as many as you get. So let that simmer for 3 hours, and in the meantime, you'll want to put in the oven 2 yellow onions chopped in half, as well as ginger. If you have a countertop oven, you can do 300 for 5 minutes, but I only have my big oven, and so you want to brown the onions, and so I just broiled it. You can see a photo of what it should look like here. While we wait, check out the bonsais I just got. Hopefully these survive for a while. So now, 3 hours later, I didn't record myself doing this, but I filled the pot up. It's important you fill it up kind of to the top with already hot water. So in another pot, I recommend you boil the water before putting in the pot. I think this messes up the texture or something. And so after this 3 hours, you want to add in your onions and garlic, and then the spice mix you toasted, you want to put it in the bag and just let it float on the top. I also forgot to record this, but now's the time when you would put in your oxtail or brisket. You can put in the oxtail with a lot of meat in first, and then like 30 minutes to an hour later, put in the only the bone oxtails. And then for the first 5 to 10 minutes, when you put the meat in, if there are any impurities, you want to skim that out. And finally, the last part of this step is to add in this pho soup broth. It'll come with a spice packet and then the flavoring powder. And this step, you don't need to put in the flavoring powder, you just put in the spice packet. I already put it in, that's why you're not seeing me put it in right now. We're finally nearing the end of the broth. You're going to want to simmer it for 2 more hours, and once it's done simmering, you're going to want to toast 3 shallots, which you can see on the right, and then take out the yellow onions and then the spice packet that came out of the pho broth base, but keep the big spice packet in still. You want to remove the yellow onions because if you keep them in any longer, they'll disintegrate. And if you were cooking brisket during the 2 hour simmer, you want to check every roughly 15 minutes for doneness, which is just if it's fork or chopstick tender. And once it is, you take it out, run it under cold water to stop the cooking, and you can fridge it. Now, this is when you want to add the pho soup base powder. You should add 3 tablespoons to start, and you do this to taste. I probably put 5 to 6 in total, but there is a trick actually. You can put the powder in a ladle just to see that it dissolves properly. This is what you can do for curry. It's a similar trick, and you can see me. I messed up the first time, but I did it the second time. Alas, we're on the last step of the broth. Brandon's mom calls this her secret or special sauce. And what it is 1 tablespoon sugar, 1 tablespoon salt, 1 tablespoon chicken bouillon, a fourth teaspoon of white pepper, and 2 cups of water. You want to mix that all and then add that to your broth to taste. I ended up using it all, but just check every half a cup you put in. And so you're done. Prep your veggies, add hoisin, sriracha sauce, cut your flank steak thinly, boil the noodles, and prep it all and enjoy. I thought it was really good. The only problem was the broth needed more body or more beef flavoring in it. And so I looked it up. You can add fish sauce, salt, MSG to help, and even that beef powder. But I think for me, the issue was I added too much water for the amount of bones I was using. And so I just let it simmer down and reduce a bit, and that got the body and flavor I really wanted. If you make it, good luck, Max, and I hope I made it well, Brandon.